morning and welcome to an incredible start to the sunrise safari, and already we have two leopards wandering off into the distance, Shadow and Tingana. I'm going to fill you in a little bit as to what happened yesterday and the drama that we had, but for now let's just try and keep up with them. They're going into a very, very difficult area. Sure, this is where it gets tricky. There's a good chance that we could lose them in this particular block. But what a way to start. Good morning to you. Oh, goodness. My name is Jamie, and this morning I have Brian on camera with me. And, of course, the Thumb attached as well, but a little bit occupied right now. Well done, Thumb, making an appearance despite the tricky situation. Now, yesterday, dramatic scenes on our sunset safari from Tingana and Shadow popping in to steal the lovely Queen of Djuma's kill. We have no idea where the cubs went. Then there was a hyena on the scene, and then there was 3 wild dogs on the scene. Completely unexpected. They came racing out of nowhere just as we were finishing off the sunset safari. All in all, made for an incredibly exciting drive. And I'll tell you a little bit, because Dave and myself stayed there for a little while after the end of the sunset safari, after it got too dark, just sitting and listening. And I'll tell you, oh my goodness, deja vu. I've done this before with this pair in this particular area. There's quite a few elephants around as well. I thought I saw some. Just pop us here for a second. So James, I know, is heading to where the kill was last seen. We don't know what happened to the kill. Most likely, oh, are we going to mate? Shadow's trying to seduce him, but Tingana, he's on the mood to move as quickly as possible. So we don't know what happened to the kill. Last night, Tingana was sitting precariously perched on top of the marula, enjoying his stolen impala that was Karula's. So there's much confusion here, and for new viewers, I'm very sorry, because it's all very complicated, and I will explain to you exactly how the dynamics all work in a moment. Watch out there, Brian. I want to whip you. There you go. Oh, this is landmine territory. Not actual landmines, obviously, just to clarify. I mean artfark holes. So what we have here for new viewers is a mating pair of leopards. Now, typically leopards will mate regularly and frequently at this time of morning, but I think that Tingana's on his way somewhere, and as a result doesn't have the time or the energy for Shadow's attentions. Shadow, by the way, now back, there's the old vehicle tracks here, now back in her territorial area, rather than Karula's, which she was in yesterday. This is going to hurt. Hold on, everyone. Oh, not so bad. Shadow desperately trying to get his attention, and Tingana just not playing ball. They're going straight into a really tricky area. Tingana stopping to mark. Not even mark, actually, just relieve himself. He's not scraping his feet. We're going into a wall of monkey orange in a moment, but we're okay for now. Oh, Shadow's flopped down. This is how mating leopard courtship works. The male wanders around and the female follows along behind him, attempting to sort of kittishly rub herself up against him. He's busy marking his territory. Up she gets, and there she goes after him. Okay. Let's catch up with our spots disappearing off into the bushes. And then, of course, I'm sure you're all wondering about Karula and her cubs. Since yet, Karula, by the way, for new viewers, is the mother of this female leopard that we're with at the moment. And she was involved in the sighting yesterday in a big way as well. And I will explain a little bit more to you in a moment, and I'm sure James will be able to help you out with a summary of yesterday as well, since he was also involved in the whole sighting. Now let's head across to him for now while I attempt to catch up with these cats. Funny, she's sort of half walking and half swinging her hips into him as she walks along. Look how distressed Tingana looks. I think he wants to put as much space between himself and those wild dogs. See, he is not interested in her attentions at all. They've been spotted by the impala, for those of you hearing those sharp calls. That's impala alarm calling at the presence of the leopard. See how Tingana's constantly stopping, looking back over his shoulder. So the female's instinct is to mate with the male, no matter what. His instinct is to get out of dodge, so to speak, and away from those wild dogs. Obviously the kill has been lost. Otherwise he would still be there. Isn't he beautiful? Sorry everybody for the coughing. Alright, hold on tight. We're almost at the boundary of Arathusa, which will mean relatively soon that it is the end of our sighting, since there are other vehicles that will want to come and join us. I have let the guides in the west know. Oh my goodness gracious. Merrily, I'm sorry about all of the noise and the drama as we go through here. Yes, Shadow and Tingana have mated before many times. We've been able to witness it. In terms of offspring, we actually think that there's a very good chance. Watch out there, Brian, that's going to hurt you. It's got thorns. Oh my goodness, you ready? We actually think that Tingana was the father of at least Shadow's previous cub, as well as Sindile, the young male with the collar around his neck and an interesting tale to tell. I'm just trying to get onto the Game Drive channel. Quick, let's get around. Let's go onto the road. We'll have a clearer spot there, quite literally. There we go. Sean, we're a bit further north than Zebra Drive Junction. Keep coming north along Triple M. Oh, there's a hippo. There was a hippo. It's all happening here on Triple M. Oh, they've just popped out now.
Are you on Triple M now, Jamie?
A-firm, just about to cross. Oh my goodness, right on top of the vehicle.
The north is Zebra Drive there, I'm on my way.
Ducking my head down to try and move out of the way.
They're going to be leaving the local. Madonna will be smelling around here.
And off they go slowly. Not slowly, actually. I mean, for leopards, this is pretty highly mobile right now. Tingana's stopping to sniff at the branches every now and again. And just not interested in the attentions that Shadow is attempting to bestow upon him. Okay, let's go a little further. Now keep coming, they've crossed here.
We're moving into the far end now from Djuma, very close to Nat.Geo turn off them about straight
This is so interesting. Tingana very clearly... Oh, here come hyenas, here come hyenas. Tingana's up the tree, Shadow's racing away. That was... No wonder he was so on the move. That's why. They've been busy chased by hyenas. Let me move across for Sean. Amazing. There goes Cheetah. There goes Shadow racing off, being chased by the hyena. Tingana's up in the tree. Here comes another hyena racing along. Unbelievable. These days have just been absolutely phenomenal. Where's Shadow? There she goes. She's coming back this way now. Oh, and she's up in the tree. And there she is, safe and sound. Poor Shadow. She has not had a very good last 2 days between the wild dogs and the hyenas. And once again, we found ourselves in a familiar position, just like the end of the sunset safari, with 2 leopards in a tree. Chased up by, in this case, 3 hyenas. No wonder they were so constantly on the move. Awesome. And that was an incredible ascent. Well done, Brian. As Tingana bounced his way up.
It's being persecuted by several hyenas. I think one-on-one, this massive male wouldn't worry about a little fluffy one like that. You'll just smack it in the face one time.
That was absolutely awesome. About 3 hyenas racing towards him. Tingana not impressed, but not terribly concerned. This probably happens on a... Oh, there we go.
Currently 2 on dock. We've got 2 Ingwes, 2 different insignias with lots of NPC punts.
I'm going to sit happily on my branch and look comfortable, like this is all just par for the course in the morning of the life of Tingana. Hello, gorgeous.
Alrighty, there'll be a standby 1 for you if you control the lineup. If there are any changes, I'll keep you all updated. Still the best approach, just off knock-forward turn-off.
And Chris Rogue, I'm absolutely with you. Personally, I think our hyena clan really are coming back. So apparently it was Corky last night that was involved with that particular sighting. And I'm sorry, I can't reposition at the moment without blocking off Sean's view completely. There's Shadow, perched precariously. She didn't get such a nice tree. She got a silver cluster leaf, which is not as comfortable as the marula that Tingana has found himself in. Tingana is nothing if not resourceful and very good at looking after himself. Now, Chris is right. It feels as though our hyenas are definitely making a comeback. It was Corky there yesterday at the sighting with Shadow, Tingana and Karula. Giving himself a gentle lick. What an incredible start to our morning safari. Tingana racing up trees, hyenas chasing them. Absolutely amazing. One-on-one, Tingana would be more than capable of tackling one of those hyenas. He is absolutely massive, powerful head and shoulders. There would have been no threat to him. But all 3 of them, possibly even more, I only saw 3, but there could have been more. And he decided that discretion was the better part of valor, and up he went into the tree, in a truly dignified fashion, as we've come to expect from Tingana, whenever he's going up a tree. He's got slightly more bulk than our agile leopards. So we do have limited time with these particular leopards. We're going to be pulling out as soon as the next vehicle decides to come into the sighting. But nevertheless, an extraordinary way to start off the morning. Just going to quietly have a nap here, looking beautiful in the rising sun. Deja vu, Brian. Except with a male this time. Yesterday it was Karula. Doesn't get more beautiful than this. Sure. Lois in Buffalo. No, unfortunately there haven't been any more reports on Shadow's cub. I'm actually sitting with Sean from Arathusa right now, so I might have a chat with him afterwards about what we think has happened with Shadow's cub. It's not looking good, I'm afraid. She hasn't been seen in a considerable period of time, and this is now the second time that we've seen Shadow mating with Tingana. It seems as though Shadow tends to go into estrus or false estrus faster or sooner than your average female leopard. We don't know why that may be, but it might be one of the explanations behind why she's been relatively unsuccessful as a mother. She's going to come down and come back to Tingana. That's how strong that instinct is. Careful, careful, careful. Gently does it. Beautifully done. So no reports on Shadow's cub. I mean, Shadow's little cub is a month younger than Karula's, which means that she doesn't have much in the way of resources. She's not independent. She's not really capable of looking after herself yet. And the fact that Mom has left her now for days at a time doesn't look good. It might also be that she lost her cub through other means. I'm hoping that's not the case, but it is possible. She might have lost her cub for another reason, and she's come straight back into false estrus, which happens with all female leopards. They come back into estrus very quickly. There she goes, jumping down. I can't reposition at the moment just because of the view. Come on, girl. She's going to make her way towards... I'm sure she's going to make her way back towards Tingana. We saw it yesterday as well. Karula chased her away. And yet, despite Karula desperately unhappy with Shadow being in her territory, Shadow still kept coming back and pushing back towards Tingana. It's a very, very powerful instinct that they have. Yeah, is she on her way? Here she goes. Come on, girl. Where have you gone? Oh, there she's coming. Now, Andrew would like to know how many times a leopard mates before falling pregnant. Depends upon the leopard, but as you know, their fertilization is essentially, or their ovulation at least, is stimulated by repeated mating. Here comes Shadow now. So the initial couple of 100 times will not result in fertilization, and then sort of right in the middle of the mating session, then the female will start to ovulate and fall pregnant. But there's no specific number. We just know that leopards mate a lot. So do lions, but leopards mate roughly every 15 minutes, depending on the temperature. Early in the morning, like this morning, they could have mated every 2 minutes or so, like we saw yesterday. Once again attempting to seduce him, and once again he's up in a tree, making Shadow's life very difficult here. She glances up longingly. Just her tail twitching in slight irritation. She definitely didn't get any of that impala kill yesterday. She doesn't have a full belly. She's actually looking quite thin. Settled down at the base of the marula tree, waiting for the gentleman to come down at some point, although he's not giving any indication that that's his plan. Tingana always seems to have a certain sort of resignation whenever he approaches these mating sessions, and today appears to be no different. He is in absolutely no hurry to jump down the tree and rejoin her. He's quite happy where he is. Look at that dewlap, that thick flap of skin underneath his throat. There she goes again. Glancing up at him longingly. Shame. And Marianne, yes, it has been recorded that 2 females in estrus have sought out the same male at the same time. They don't fight over him. Essentially, well, they can. It's unusual. Some of the most serious leopard fights that I've ever seen or heard of have been between 2 females, usually unrelated. But most of the time... Oh, there's a hyena coming back. Oh, hold on, let's just see. I think Shadow's going to go up. She's trying to get out of the way of the hyena. Let's just see how this plays out. Sorry, Marianne, I'll get back to your question. Shadow, I don't know that that's going to work. I don't think there's enough space in that tree for mating. She's watching the hyenas moving about in the distance. It's so good to see them as well. It's been a long time since we've had a proper hyena sighting. That's all happening here at the moment. Skulking. There's skulking. So is Shadow, actually. Skulking at the bottom of the tree. And speaking of our favourite spotted creatures, or one of our favourite spotted creatures, we've got 2 here. Laura, you want to know why the hyenas keep bothering the leopards. It is just what they do. Those are sub-adults or young hyenas that came sprinting through. And having probably finished off what was left of that impala, they've gone sort of back to a pastime of entertaining themselves, playing Terrorize the Cat, kind of like cats and dogs do. There's no serious intention behind it, although if they did get hold of Shadow, they could do her some serious damage. But most of the time, the predators don't come into major conflict. Leopards are very good at avoiding, as you can see. She knows that 2 hyenas are coming back, and she's off. Looking back behind her. They're bullying her today. Shame, Shadow. It hasn't been a good few days for you, has it? Looking back anxiously, she doesn't have a big tree to get into except the one that Tingana's in, and he's not budging. Okay, she's going to wait there. Let's see what's going to happen. So they're doing this for entertainment, Laura. They're smart, they're curious, and they're bored. And it's nice and cool this morning. Now, are they going to realize they're walking straight past a leopard? Shadow's not sticking around to find out. Oh, there it goes. Hyena tail up and excited, and Shadow disappearing off. She won't be gone for long. She'll be up the next tree, and the hyenas will lose interest, and she'll come back for Tingana. Absolutely incredible. What a sighting. Those of you who are better placed to identify these hyenas, if you could let me know which ones you think they are, I'd love to hear about it. It's been ages since I saw our hyena clan properly. Having a good sniff up the tree. Sorry, buddy. Tingana's just a little bit out of reach. And he knows it. Look at that expression on his face. Positively smug. This is not Tingana's first rodeo. Not concerned at all. So some amazing predator interaction. Hyenas are, depending on whether it's a female or a male leopard, generally hyenas are stronger and more robust than a leopard. Excuse me. And have the advantage of numbers. Leopards as solitary creatures would much prefer to avoid the conflict. But it's not uncommon to see them right next to each other, lying up maybe a couple of meters away, like we saw yesterday on the sunset safari. It's all in the body language and the intent of the animal. These young hyenas clearly showing that they want to harass the leopards, and the leopards not keen to give them that opportunity. I will say it's been a particularly bad few hours for Shadow, between the wild dogs and the hyenas. And Sandy, no, Tingana would not warn Shadow one little bit if the hyenas came by, or the wild dogs, unless of course she was watching his body language carefully, in which case she might pick up cues from them. Tingana is interested in one thing and one thing only, in terms of priorities, and that is his own survival and well-being. So as much as we'd like to think that there is some altruistic and protective instinct to him, there absolutely is not. He will be the first to take the best position up the tree, as we saw yesterday. Well, we say best position, he was thoroughly uncomfortable yesterday, but he wanted to make sure that nobody else got the kill. And he will be the first out of the way as soon as the hyenas come a-calling, or the wild dogs, or whatever it happens to be. Whilst he bears Shadow no ill will, nor Karula, nor any of the others, he also is not going to put himself out or risk his life to try and protect them. And Andrew, Shadow will wait for as long as it takes for her man to come down. Unlike Tingana, she is very interested in regaining his attentions, and she'll wait, and she'll wait, and she'll wait, and she'll wait, and he can't escape her forever. At some point he's got to come down the tree, and then she will resume her attentions in terms of battering him in the face with her tail. She will wait for as long, unless another male comes along. Margaret's sharing a thought, which is perhaps Tingana is saying, "Thank you, hyenas, for distracting Shadow and allowing him a brief respite from her attentions." It's not the first time I've felt that about Tingana. There was one time when we were sitting at Red Dam and the Tsalala Pride chased Karula and Tingana in opposite directions. Oh, settled down. Very comfortable. And yes, exactly the same thing. Tingana took the opportunity to disappear as far away as possible. And now he's settled in a much more comfortable marula tree than the one that we saw him in yesterday. Sure, that's beautiful. Probably going to have to move out of the sighting at some point. So while I hop on and discuss logistics, let's go across to James and find out how his morning is heading. And Shadow is back once again, playing the patience game. She came along purring away, and has now settled down at the base of the marula tree, in the sun, just waiting, patiently waiting for Tingana to decide whether or not he's actually going to be bothered to come down the tree. We've just been chatting to Sean. We're not sure about whether or not Shadow has lost her cub. We're just going to have to wait and see. So for new viewers, Shadow has had, I'm not sure which tense to use, a 6-month-old little female cub, beautiful little thing, and she hasn't been seen in about 2.5 weeks. Typically when a female is mating again, it's not a very good sign, but animals don't read textbooks, and we just have no idea. So we'll have to wait and see. We probably won't know for a considerable period of time for certain. And we'll all just have to keep hoping that the cub is still around. She's taking the opportunity to have a good clean. Awesome. Thank you very much to Chris Rogue, who says that Bella is one of the ones that was bugging them. So Bella, the son of the matriarch of our hyena clan, the sub-adult son, was one of the ones that popped Tingana up in the tree. Makes total sense. Little band of troublemakers is what we had there. Oh, here he comes. Yes, no, maybe. Can he be bothered? He's got a nice full belly. There we go. Come on, boy. Just going to scratch the top of my head on the tree. Shadow's watching his every move. I can hear her low, seductive purring emanating from where she's lying. She's hopeful. Perhaps now with the hyenas gone, he might be more receptive to her advances. He's listening to her as well. He is magnificent. He is absolutely massive. Very solid male leopard. Come on, boy. Here we go. Here we go. Maybe not. Maybe later. Make your way in. Station on first standby for Whakapakati Ingwe.
Good morning, Jamie.
Morning, make your way. I'll pull out when you get here.
Hey, Jamie, I just want to confirm a south of Nopon link, huh?
There he goes. Clunk. Not quite as graceful as the dainty Karula or Shadow. Here she goes. Straight in. That's affirmative. He is not interested. He could not be less bothered by her attentions.
Did we come in? Oh. And over to you there with Ryan.
And off they go. Okay. We're not going to be following them any further.